All right, Soccer Senseis, Rodrigo Salazar, big guest today, Eli Mengem, right? Am I saying it right? Mengem from Copa 90. You guys have seen him on Derby days. Derby, yeah. He's the guy who goes to every major soccer stadium and gets all the derbies. He just came back from Seattle. The Seattle Sounders versus Dallas, right?
Yeah, playoff final.
But Eli, tell us about yourself, man. By the way, Ellis can't make it. He's on special assignment with Mario Balotelli trying to get his iPhone fixed. So he's sending out some crazy tweets with Mario Brothers. So he'll be back in the next show. But Eli, tell us about yourself, man.
Okay, well, I work for Copa 90.
Okay.
We're a YouTube channel that's dedicated to the football stories that happen off the pitch, whether it be on the console, whether it be in the terraces, like this car, whether it be on the console or the terraces. And we're just dedicated to telling the incredible stories that happen on every corner of the globe. I'm lucky enough to be a presenter for a couple of shows. We've done one where we hitchhiked from London, England, to Brazil for the World Cup across 17 countries. We've done a 10-episode series called Derby Days, where we covered the biggest derbies in the world, from Bosnia to Serbia to Milan, Liverpool and Rome. And now we're in the US because we're touching on this huge phenomenon. Get that right? Starting on my coffee. That is US soccer, and it's growing. We just got back from Seattle, and we're just loving. We're loving the enthusiasm that is the new US soccer culture.
Yeah, US is definitely picking up, and we're talking about MLS. It's getting better. It's getting there. It's not there yet, but I think it's the next 5 years. It's going to be really good. Tell us about yourself. You're from Australia, you said?
I'm from Australia. I'm from Melbourne, Australia.
Okay.
Funny enough, where there's a lot of I say this often. There's a lot of parallels with US soccer and football in Australia, in the fact that it's not the most popular code. It's up against the indigenous codes of the country, and it is fueled by this educated and worldly next generation who want to take part in what the world's taking part in. So when I'm here, I meet guys like you, and I can see how enthusiastic you are. Don't just follow European soccer, but follow it here and be part of it.
Okay.
So,
yeah. We're in the middle of the Meatpacking District, right next to the Apple Store.
Is this Meatpacking District?
Yeah, Meatpacking District.
Where's the
Google's over there.
Pig?
Spotted Pig.
That restaurant.
Let's see. I'll call Jay-Z up. I'll let you know.
Yeah, exactly. He lives here, yeah?
He lives in Tribeca, further back down. But so how did you get into the sport? Like, the first question out of his mouth was, how did you get into soccer? And I told him my origin story. What's yours?
Well, funnily enough, I wasn't a fan of soccer as a kid. I thought it was like I was told, it was a sport for kids under 12 and girls.
Same thing here.
Yeah, and maybe the kids from overseas. And I was a huge fan of Australian rules football and Australian sports. And then soccer in Australia is shown at awful times because of the European time zones and all that.
Yeah.
So games usually at 3:30. So I had no exposure to it. When the Japan-Korea World Cup came in 2002, the game's on at 4 p.m. And one of the kids in my school who liked it, he was a mate of mine. I couldn't understand why. He convinced me, you got to check it out. So I got home. I watched England-Brazil. Ronaldinho put a 40-yard goal past David Seaman, lobbed him from a free kick, and from that day on, it was just this. It hit me. What I am watching is the epitome of everything I love. It's sport. It's the world united as one. It's this behemoth. It's skill. It's the crowd. It's everything. And from that day, I was 12 years old. It was just, now I'm 24. It's been day on day obsession with this. I don't want to call it a sport because it's not a sport. It's a cultural phenomenon that keeps us all in love.
Tell us about the derbies you've gone to. You've been to like the middle of Europe somewhere. You've been to London. You've been to you said Seattle.
Yeah.
What was the craziest thing you've seen?
Oh, that's hard. I mean.
By the way, check out his videos. He's on Copa 90, right? I know Derby Days.
Yeah, so we're a YouTube channel. We're called Copa 90.
Yeah.
We've got 10 episodes up. Well, craziest thing on the derbies, I'd have to go for, we were in Belgrade for the Serbian derby. It's absolutely menacing. They basically have to have the military out on game day. And at half-time, the players went out. It was 1-0 to the home team. And the away fans put on this pyro show to amp up their team as they came out back on the pitch. And I'm talking 400, 500 flares being tossed in every direction. And all you could see was red. And it wasn't like, all you could see was just seas of flares. Not 1 or 2, not 10 or 20 like we saw in Milan or Rome. A sea. And it was just a sea of flares. And that was probably up there with the crowd. That was one of those moments where Like I had to go, wow, and I really breathe in and go, okay, keep cool here. So that was one of the crazy moments. I've had moments all around the world. I had a moment when we hitchhiked across the world for another show we had called Eli for Brazil, or I think we call it Fan Hike. It's up on our channel, and we hitchhiked to the World Cup, and on a canoe from Costa Rica to Panama.
Jesus.
We were on this. I don't speak Spanish. I wish I did, but we're on this canoe, and these kids were sitting there. They didn't speak a word of English. Neither did me and my producer. But I could hear they were saying Turkey, Italy, and I was saying the numbers. I can understand Spanish numbers, and I worked out that they were talking about the friendlies, the friendlies that were happening before the World Cup.
Okay.
I think Turkey upset Italy in the game, and I worked that out. I said Turkey won, Turkey dos, Italy. And it was this amazing moment that we're in the middle of the ocean on this shitty canoe, talking about football to these, kids from Panama. There was no English being spoken. We were as far away as London, England as we could possibly be. We were talking about football, and that's all we had to talk about. And from there, we went on to Balotelli, Royce.
It's really a global language.
It's a global language, and it was this moment where it really took me back and made me go like, this really is something else. It really connects you to the world.
It's starting to rain here, so Eli feels right at home. He's from London.
So yeah,
lives right at Hackney. So tell us about what you guys are doing right with Copa 90 specifically. I mean,
we're doing a lot of stuff. There's we've got big ambitions. Stay tuned for next year. We're going to be announcing some big stuff. But essentially, we just want to show that there's enough TV channels showing the games and doing the traditional style reporting in suits and in our studios.
Yeah. So we like our suits?
Yeah, exactly. We got the hoodies on, and we got the jeans on and the sneakers, and we're showing what's the most important part about the game to us, and that's the football and the fans and the stories they've got. We're genuine, and we think this is the future. And luckily, we've got a few people who back us up financially. We've got some big collaborations with some clubs coming up, from Liverpool to Bayern Munich.
Okay.
But we also got the stuff with the smaller clubs, like in Bosnia, like in England, some of the smaller divisions, or even like here, where we just did a profile on the Cosmos and Seattle Sounders.
Oh yeah. Seattle Sounders is great.
Not that they're a smaller club. I mean, 44,000.
Yeah, but Cosmos, I mean, out of every club, that's the biggest club out of the United States. That's the one that everybody knows.
Yeah, they really are.
That's a whole other story, for another time. Eli will definitely be joining us again. What about, like, personally, who do you support in England?
Technically, my team's QPR.
Oh my God!
I moved to
interview's over. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Oh come on, we're pathetic. No one even hates us because we just give everyone 3 points. But I'm more of a fan of football fans. So whilst QPR is my team, they're not my be all and end all like you with Arsenal. I go to the games as much as I can, and I support them. But the only team I truly care about is the Australian national team, and that's because the better we do, the bigger the game gets in Oz, just like here in the US.
Same thing with here,
and I'm from Oz, and I feel...
Is it like that over there? Because in the United States, what happened with the World Cup was everybody was into it, USA, and then after it was over, it kind of like weaned down. Is it the same thing in Australia?
Yeah, absolutely. But what happens is so we've qualified for the last 3, and what happens is every time, say 1 million watch it, and 990,000 tune off afterwards. That's still 10,000, 190,000. Yeah, 10,000. I really need that coffee. That's 10,000.
Starbucks is over there. We'll go right now.
That's 10,000 that have stuck by it. Then that's 10,000 more. Then those 10,000 tell 10,000. And what's happening is there's generations who have fallen in love with it every 4 years and sticking with it enough to make the A-League financially stable and make football in Australia financially and just physically present and prosperous, I guess you could say.
Cool.
So it's like there's so many parallels. In one way, I think that soccer in Australia is a step ahead of the States because it's easier to breach the mainstream in Australia because we're a smaller country. We're only 20 million, so it's very rarely that soccer makes the front page without the World Cup.
Wonderful. That's great. I think that, final question. I think the U.S. is maybe at least 20 years away from winning the World Cup, if possible. How far away is Australia from winning the World Cup? Can we inject something to T. Cahill so he'll
I'd like, I know, man. I want to keep going for the next one. 2030 is what my aim. I'd like to see.
Okay. I
also think US is 2030. Speaking to MLS people, like who work up higher, we'll just have a chat with them. They think 2026 is the aim for them. I think 2030 is a realistic thing is, we're like you guys. We compete at the Olympics. We compete in big sports. We love our sports. We love to be on top of the table or the league or whatever it is. We're not second place people like you. We're just like you guys. We don't like to be second. We're winners. And for that alone, and we're starting to realize the only time you're really a world champion in any sport, it's not World Series. That's not a real World Series. The NBA playoffs, they're great, but they're not a world championship. And nor is and the Super Bowl. Americans who genuinely think it's the biggest show on earth are just. You guys
getting controversial on us, but I totally agree with you
because you're a moron.
Definitely agree.
If you think the Super Bowl is a big event, and tell you what, it's getting bigger around the world, but it is basically like minor league baseball compared to the World Cup final. And more Americans are realizing that, and then therefore more American kids are going, I want to be a real world champion, so I'm going to play soccer, and I'm going to stick with it, or I'm going to support a team.
Definitely.
And that's the future, man. The future in the US is soccer. It's an exciting time to be working in it.
Eli started Bloody Rain. Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
All right, man.
Thank you so much,
Thanks for coming.
No,
Eli, follow him on Eli for Copa 90, right?
At Eli for Copa 90 and at El Mengem on my Twitter accounts. And but more importantly, check out our YouTube channel.
Yeah, definitely.
Copa 90, COPA 90, and follow the stories around the world.